you can help from your computer protect the environment.
Welcome to this episode of the Digital Innovation for Nature Conservation podcast. My name is India, and I'm here today on the 26th of October with my colleagues Jie, Daniel, and Jongsu to talk about detecting illegal mining in Colombia. Today, we have the unique chance to interview Dr. Santiago Saavedra of the University of Rosario in Bogota, Colombia. He developed the Colombian Mining Monitoring CoMiMo, which is an online platform that allows the detection of illegal mining activities in Colombia. Thank you, Dr. Saavedra, for joining us today. Could you start by briefly introducing CoMiMo and the motivation for creating this platform?
Thank you very much for the invitation. CoMiMo started like 5 years ago when we were studying the effects of gold mining on newborns' health. In that time, we had the location of the legal mines, the rivers, and the babies. And we found that babies born downstream from the mines are affected by the pollution, and those living nearby the mines are affected by like the income effect. So they're positively affected. But we were happy with our research. And one day we opened the newspapers and we read that 80% of the mining in Colombia is illegal. That means we were missing this from our calculations. So we asked the governments like, hey, where's the illegal mining? They were like, oh, we're not that sure. We took some pictures and now we have somebody looking at them by hand and they're classifying. So it takes some time. And we were like, oh my God, this needs to improve. So at the time I was studying at Stanford and my colleague Mauricio Romero at UC San Diego. And we were like, okay, let's apply machine learning to this. So we had this idea, we graduated with a paper in 2017. And then in 2019, we got funding from the Google Artificial Intelligence Impact Challenge. And with that funding, we managed to create a platform that you guys can go online at comimo.sig-gis.com. And you can look at what we did. And you can also help us validate. So with the funding of Google, we have now this interaction with the model and the users so that the model can keep improving through time.
That's very interesting. And then how do you manage to merge the public sector and the private sector and civil society?
Okay, so the first thing to mention is that CoMiMo is free for everybody. So basically, everybody that wants to join the platform, we have many government users, and our dream is to have a law that says that every municipal police inspector should sign up for CoMiMo so that every month they receive an email like, hey, we have some possible mines in your jurisdiction. Can you please verify? And any user, you can do it from Europe. You can do it in Colombia while you are in the bus stuck in traffic. And you get this email saying like, hey, we have a new alert in your municipality of interest. We send you like 5 possible mines in your municipality, and you just check at the latest high-resolution imagery, and then you decide by yourself if the model was accurate. And then we aggregate these opinions. So at the end of the day, I can tell the government, hey, I have 10 civil society users that have confirmed that in this point there is a mine. So maybe we can ask them to act in these like super verified locations. Why don't you go to the field? So it's like coordination is through the validation, and it can happen externally through other agreements.
Okay, so far, have you noticed this implementation? Because it's barely new, I know, but so far, how have you seen this happen?
So we launched a month ago. So we launched on September, and then on October, we sent the first predictions. So we are still in the process of like signing up users and asking people to join. I will need to come back to the podcast to tell you what happened, what was the effect of launching, because it has only been 1 month.
So I understand it's been only 1 month, but how much this CoMiMo can achieve its objective?
CoMiMo's first objective was to map like all the mines in Colombia. And I think by now, through an iteration process of predictions and validation, we have a pretty good map of like all the mines in Colombia. So I think we're getting there. And the next step is to convince the government to act, right? So in some cases, there is some collusion, so we will need like civil society to do the pressure.
I'm very impressed by the project. Do you already have civilians using CoMiMo?
Yes, last time I checked, we had like 300 users. So I think 50 of them are from government and academia, but I think like a good share is like students mainly and like civil society that just saw the announcement and they joined the webinar and they are participating so far.
So, in this sense, where do you see the biggest challenge for CoMiMo?
Yes, I think it's like we need to get policy relevance on illegal mining. So we need like a policy switch from like, let's think about all the environmental issues, not only illegal drugs. So that's one option. The second option is that civil society will care. Because let me ask you guys, we are doing this interview probably in your computers. Do you know where the minerals from your computers are sourced from? And the listeners of the podcast, the cell phones, anything you're using, do you know where the minerals are sourced from? So until we don't get like enough critical mass of people like validating in CoMiMo or creating pressure on the politicians like, hey, have you acted on this? That's I guess the challenge. We spent 2 years with technical challenges tuning up the machine learning model. Now we just need to get a mass of users and political like direction to act.
What other innovative solutions could help to reduce illegal mining activities?
Yes, what we are missing the most is a tracing alternative. Because basically, I take this gold and you don't have a way of knowing where I got it from. Another solutions is also facilitating the legalization process. In fact, we were talking with the Colombian Mining Association. They want to like separate from the illegal. They want to make clear we need mining and we are doing it here and properly and respecting the environment. Because I've been working with small miners and there's so much paperwork to get your mine formal. They take a 8 hours bus trip to the office and the government says, no, you're missing this paper, you need to come back. So there are like many delays in the process. So if we could have like a single platform that is super easy for them, we also need to speed up things in that front.
So do you think the technology already used in CoMiMo could be further developed in the other areas of illegal resource extraction, such as illegal fishing and deforestation detection or something like that?
Yes, so let me mention that there exists Global Forest Watch and Global Fishing Watch. An alternative for CoMiMo is to go beyond Colombia. Like 2 years ago, I received a call from a Venezuelan professor asking me to do my model in Venezuela. We can do this in Congo, DRC, in Indonesia. And I promise you, from a technical side, for me, it's super easy to take the imagery from those countries, pass it through my model, and give you predictions. What I'm not that comfortable yet is making the predictions public because I don't know what's the precision of the Colombian trained model in Indonesian mines. So I guess what I'm missing is people in these countries that will be willing internally before making it public to do some validation.
I'm also wondering if CoMiMo has faced technological issues.
We struggle a lot for like 2.5 years to be launching. We had everything in R, like coded in R. We had to switch to Python. We had Landsat imagery. We switched to the NICP imagery. And the model was getting confused a lot. Like I sent a letter to a major, like, hey, can you please check this point? I think it's a mine. And they were like, no, that's actually my house. It's just a tile roof. So we had to like retrain the model a lot. Through time, accumulate like a rich training data set.
You mentioned your project went to like Google Artificial Intelligence Impact Challenges. So I can imagine how competitive the whole process was. I was just like wondering what like special assets do you think made you stand out from the other AI projects?
Let me just, instead of like talking on why mine was selected, I can tell you of other winners that I got to meet in these Google events. And you have some people doing a monitoring of deforestation using old cell phones. So you basically donate an old cell phone and you put it in the forest, and then it's recording audio. And usually you don't hear anything or birds, and then you start hearing like, again, with machine learning, you get like a warning. There's deforestation going on there. Another project is helping refugees in Europe find jobs. So they're doing like helping them translate their skills to Europe. Some people are doing like sign language, easy translation. Let me just say that the applications of machine learning are endless, and people doing great stuff as the other co-winners are great.
And how do you see the future of the state and of the government in relation to all these applications?
I think that eventually, if we get many users, and like I think young people are getting aware of like, we cannot use anymore the excuse of like, oh, that's too far away, we don't know what's happening. Now everybody, like we're getting this awareness that we have the resources for monitoring. We have these, so we will start demanding, and they will have to start using it because of the demands of the society. It might be a slow process because we need to like educate people on using the satellites, but I think it will happen soon. Like they were not doing this 20 years ago. Then Brazil started with a great deforestation with satellite data monitoring program that it was successful. Like there are papers showing that. In Colombia, we have some monitoring, but it's not that public. But eventually, like I think this is like a snowball. You have to start, and then eventually start growing until they will have to use it.
I was wondering, would you like to add something if you want to send a message?
You don't have to be Colombian, like anybody, and the platform is also in English. So I hope you guys and some of your listeners go into comimo.sig-gis.com. You sign up, you create an account, and instead of playing Angry Birds, or I don't know what you play in your cell phones, like wasting time, I only ask you once a month. You'll get an email with the new predictions, and you do some validation. You just give me a yes, no, the model was accurate or not, and we'll just keep adding the voice. So I guess my dream, I say it in the Colombian version of the interview, that I would like to be in the bus and that I see somebody just doing validations, somebody I don't know. Now it will be more like that I'm in an airport in some other country, that I see a random person doing validations in Colombia, because that'll be like a way of like helping add a voice, like confirm, yes, there's a mine there, and we can use it to like put pressure here, and we have more users in the world. So I mean, that's it. You can help from your computer protect the environment. That's, I guess, the key message. And I don't know, I guess this is a podcast, but in YouTube, we have 3 great animated videos done by magic markers, so that if something was not clear in the podcast, you can just watch the animation and see the robot with all the images going through its head, and you will see how CoMiMo works. Yes, it's not only Colombia, it can be the world. And if somebody from other country wants to apply CoMiMo there, we're happy to do partnerships. We do it in your country, and if you provide the validation, we just keep expanding.
Well, personally, I'm convinced.
Now you have new core students helping CoMiMo.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for your answers. This podcast is now reaching its end. Today, we learned about a new innovative solution that helps to detect illegal mining much faster than the conventional way. We absolutely loved to hear how new digital technology-based solutions such as CoMiMo develop new ways of conserving nature in protected areas. Thank you very much, Dr. Saavedra, for joining us today. And thank you to our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did.